Hey guys, this is SoFlo Josh, and today, finally, Honda has teased us with the 2023 Civic Type R prototype model. Let's get right into the video. So this new generation of the Civic, now, mind you, all of the Type Rs will be hatchback only. There will not be a sedan variant of this. The SI would be the performance version of the sedan version, and the Type R will be the performance version of the hatchback version. So that means that there's not going to be SI models for the hatchback at all. That, in my opinion, the reason why I think that's the case is because the Acura Integra that's going to be coming out next year will be filling that gap between the SI and the Type R. So let's get right into the details. So with this, it has a very nice camouflage on it. I gotta say, I really love the way that Honda has created this camouflage. It has all the Civic Type Rs of the past, you know, the FK8, the EP1, all the Type Rs that there have ever been made, and I really like that detail that they have in this picture here. So getting into the front fascia, you see that we have a bigger front opening grille for the bottom portion with this mesh style finishing. It kind of is resemblant to the 10th generation version of the CTR. And I think that I really like the way they did it. It seems like there's a lot more opening here for this version. And I like that because that means that there's a lot of they're paying attention more to the cooling factor that the people have been complaining for the 10th generation. You know, owners have been having issues with cooling whenever they're at the track, and I think they're paying attention with this. You do also have these nice little flank areas right next to the lower part of the grille that is air ducts actually, and they're functional compared to the 10th generation. 10th generation didn't have as much functional venting going on, which is kind of weird because it's the Type R and it needs that functionality of more cooling anywhere it can get. You know, the brakes, intercooler, anything like that will help the vehicle out whenever you're on the track. So you have these nice little slats that are there, kind of reminiscent of a little bit of how BMW does their duct system for their braking on the M vehicles, and I really like that detail. Getting onto the top portion here on the grille section, you see that it has a larger intake system compared to the previous generation. I really like the way they did the mesh grille as well. It's reminiscent to the bottom one, but they enlarged it, that you can see the mesh is actually a couple inches wider in diameter compared to the other one. And since this is riding on the hatchback version, that it gets that exact same front fascia that we saw on the hatchback variant, where it doesn't have too much of that body color painted section up top, where it was, you know, a little bit too wide for the sedan version. But on the hatchback, they made it a lot better compared to the sedan version, and the Civic Type R is the exact same way as well. More airflow is going to be going into this engine. That's the great thing. The main purpose, I think, of this generation is going to be more about performance, more cooling than the previous generation, 100%. Getting onto the right side where the lights are, you can see your regular Civic sedan and hatchback lights. Mind you, this is the European spec, so you're not going to see the yellow markers that we have on the US spec. And on this spec, as you see, there's a projector lamp right in the middle, which is exclusive to the European market, and the Japanese market will be getting that. But the US spec will be getting the full-on LED reflector kind of beam that they have for the sedan and the hatchback. Getting onto the lower part of where the headlights are at, you can see that it has kind of a reminiscent of the 10th generation that you can't really see it that well, but to my eyes, I can see it, where there's a section where it has a little slat that has air ducts on the side to go around the wheel well for better aerodynamic purposes. I do believe they're functional. Looking on the passenger side, actually, you can see a little bit of a cutout to go through that area, and I like the way that, like I mentioned, Honda's doing more aerodynamic purposes, airflow for better cooling, for better aerodynamic purposes, and I think that's a really good thing. You do have beautiful wheel arches on the side, on the Fender, Fender, and I really like the way that it bolsters out to add in that wider track that the Civic Type R has. Of course, there's going to be wider wheels, and we have an all new rim design actually compared to the previous generation. I like the way that they did not go ahead and reuse the previous generation rims. If you know that the 9th generation Civic Type R that was only sold in Europe had the 10th generation actually has the same rims as that. So I'm glad that Honda decided to go ahead, oh, we're gonna make a new design, and it's a Y-spoke design, kind of reminiscent to what Acura offers, but it's a little bit wider, and I think it fills out the wheels very nice. You know, it's also running on the Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, which is a great thing. I know those tires are really sticky, and a lot of owners really like them. Getting onto the rear side, we're gonna go ahead and change the photo actually right now, and we're gonna look at the rear part of the Civic Type R. You can actually see there is an air duct right behind the front wheels on either side, which is a cool thing. It's not as big as the 10th generation, but I'm okay with that because I think in some cases the 10th generation was a little too radical, too boy racer in some capacity. I know a lot of people are going to give me flack for that, but personally that's what I feel. I think this one gives it a very nice clean design, and the way that it's angled, you can see it that it's going to go with the body line that goes through the bottom door sill area. You can see it looks to align perfectly. It has that bubbly effect where it's more concave inward compared to you know, just a regular shaped outlet for air to go through. And I really like the way they did that. Getting onto the bottom section here, the side sills, you can see it still has that traditional Civic Type R side sills, and I really like the way they did that too. I mean, you can't really notice too much with camouflage, but if you really pick out the details and zoom in a lot, you can see what kind of details there are for it. Of course, the top portion of the, you know, the door area, it's the exact same. The only part that's going to look a little bit different from the regular Civic hatchback is the rear fender. Now, since the new Civic hatchback has a different mounting hatch compared to the previous generation, they didn't need to put any of that wide body kind of slapped on with you know, 3M tape. This one is going to have wider fenders from the get-go. So that's a great thing. That's an improvement, in my opinion, to have a wider fender instead of just slapping on just a regular, you know, 3M design for the side for extending the width of the rear wheels as well. You do have a side marker, rear marker actually, on the back, kind of reminiscent of the Acura TLX Type S. It looks very similar the way they have it designed. I noticed that right away when I first saw the pictures at like 3 a.m. in the morning when they came out. Getting onto the rear bumper, now this is where I'm gonna say I really love, this is my favorite photo so far. And even though you might say that, oh, it's camouflage, you can't really see anything, this is where I really like it the most. I really love this, you know, GT kind of spoiler up here. It looks very nice. It looks like it is adjustable. Mind you, this vehicle is the one that's going to be going for mostly the time attack on the Nürburgring, which is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to see the numbers. I hope it's going to retain, it's actually going to beat the front wheel drive time on the Nürburgring. But people are starting to say that this wing here isn't going to be on the production, and I have a feeling it is. I don't think that Honda would really switch out the rear wings for a track time attack on the Nürburgring just to do it. I mean, that I know that there's some capacity of doing that for better airflow, so then you can get a faster time, you know, depending on the aerodynamic efficiency on the vehicle. But I think this is going to be the production wing, and I really like it compared to the previous gen. If we go back to the previous generation, when it was doing the time attack on the Nürburgring, it had the production rear wing. So I don't think that I personally think this is the production wing. I think this is the pre-production wing we're seeing here. It does look like it's adjustable on the top and on the middle section right here. You do have that rear wiper, which I personally honestly don't think you need that. Most people are just gonna go ahead and delete this. I've seen a lot of people delete this on their Civic Type R's in person. You have the regular tail lights, same old thing. The only difference really is the rear bumper compared to the Civic hatchback. Now, it does look like it has a wider kind of extension on the diffuser area. I'm currently loving how Honda has been doing their diffusers for their performance oriented. If we look at the Type S, we look at even for example, the NSX Type S, that got the GT3 NSX rear diffuser inspiration. And this one just gives me that IMSA, I can't remember what class it is, but the IMSA Type R diffuser that they have. So I'm really glad that they decided to go ahead and do this rear diffuser. It looks very, very nice. So the rear bumper is completely different compared to the regular hatchback actually, because I mean, one of the few details, like I mentioned, the rear reflector is aiming upwards, and there is a little bit of a crease on you could see it in the camouflage. There's a little bit of a crease that angles upward and then to the right to go in the design area for, I'm guessing, just the design, the way that it looks. I really like the way that they've done it so far, but I really love this diffuser. Is really, really nice. You do have your triple exhaust system, same as the previous generation. The only difference is the middle exhaust is actually larger compared to what it was in the previous generation. Had the two outer exhausts larger and then the middle exhaust smaller. So this time they did reverse. They went the opposite way. And I'm thinking, since I'm sure most of you know that the plant in the UK at the Swindon plant has closed down already, and all Civic Type R's for the US, well, basically for the North American region, will all be built in the United States. They won't be built in the UK. For the Japanese domestic market, they will have their own factory, which currently the Civic hatchback that's sold in Japan is actually built in a Japanese plant. So the Civic Type R will be built in two different plants, one in Japan and one in America. If I find out any kind of details, I'll go ahead and put like a little asterisk right here saying, you know, oh, it's only built in America. But from what I remember, I think it is that two are going to be built, one in Japan and one in America for their market. So with this, like I mentioned, the rear wing, well, I already mentioned that. But yeah, I mean, I'm really liking this design. You can see the wider track on the wheels here. It looks very, very nice. I love how clean it actually looks compared to the previous generation. I mentioned that. And you also do get the Brembo brakes on the front, which is phenomenal. I mean, Brembo brakes, they were great when they did the facelift for the, MMC version of the Type R. And of course, the Brembo brakes, a lot of people love Brembo brakes. It does phenomenal on the tracks. So I really can't wait to see this. I do have to mention one thing. Let me mention one more last thing. You can't really see it from the angle that Honda took the photo, but there is no longer a hood scoop. What it is a hood vent that flows all the heat outward from the engine bay. So that's going to be better for cooling purposes and aerodynamic purposes compared to you using the hood scoop that I believe was actually closed off, if I'm not mistaken. But I like the way that Honda decided to go ahead and do a hood vent rather than a hood scoop, so then it adds more airflow, better. There's gonna be so much cooling in this vehicle that I think a lot of the owners of the 10th generation are gonna just go on up, because I know that a lot of people have complained about that the Civic Type R on the track has had a lot of cooling issues repeatedly. You have to once in a while stop because it's too much strain. There's not enough cooling, and some people have to even upgrade their intercoolers. And I'm hoping that Honda has made a lot of improvements with the powertrain. And speaking about the powertrain, more than likely, I'm almost certain that it will be retaining the exact same 2.0 turbo that we saw on the 10th generation model. So I'm sure 100% there's no difference. It will only come, of course, in a 6-speed manual, and it will be only powering the front wheels. There won't be any all-wheel drive system, even though a lot of rumors have been saying for them Honda's going to be making a CTR that's hybrid. I don't believe that. I don't think that's going to happen with this generation. Maybe for the 12th generation, but definitely not this generation, because I just feel like this is the last hurrah for a non-hybrid version of the Type R. Maybe its cousin, the Acura Integra, might get some kind of hybrid system for the Type S. We're not sure. But for right now, the Type R is definitely not getting a hybrid system until the 12th generation. But with that being said, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you click that notification bell so then whenever I upload a video, you get notified right away. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.